they go. Are you kidding me? That is so tight in there, and it's Josh Herrin who takes it. Oh, look at, oh, that's contact, and no, both go down.
Wow.
So Josh Herrin takes out your championship points leader. More parts and pieces for the Oceanmira Suzuki crew. Roger Hayden will take the checkered flag and his first win of 2017. I got to go with the fact that Herrin thought he was. It's time for the MotoAmerica AMA FIM North American Superbike Championship. It's round 3 of 10 from Virginia International Raceway in Alton, Virginia. Hello everyone, I'm Greg White, standing alongside Jason Pridmore, who's won a couple of these national championships here at this level. And Jason, as we get this Kawasaki pre-race show going, you got to look at yesterday's events. Superbike in particular was something absolutely spectacular.
For the first 6 laps, we had 9 riders all battling for the lead. Jake Lewis was back in 9th, setting the fastest lap of the race on a Superstock bike. So there's a lot of dynamics going on there. I only expect more fireworks today.
And we talk about race pace in Superbike. A lot of people think the race pace was set at the front with Roger Hayden, but actually it was set by a couple of Yamahas that were chasing up.
Well, the Yamahas gave those guys a big advantage, both running off the track yesterday. Both Cameron Beaubier and Josh Hayes went grass tracking in very wet grass, managed to keep their bikes upright, but boy, did they put on a charge. The last half of that race yesterday was all about how quick they were moving through the field. Both of those guys could have won the race still, but Raj did a tremendous job. Take nothing away from him. He controlled the race at the front.
You know, but coming up first in this block of programming is going to be Supersport. And what happened yesterday turned the championship on its ear.
Yeah, watching Valentin go down in turn 1 yesterday was a real bummer. It was funny because we talked to him yesterday. He harbored no bad feelings towards anybody. He claimed it was just a racing accident that happened. Those guys have done a good job to get his bike back together. I watched him this morning in warm-up, and he's ready to go today.
Well, with more on what's going on with Valentin DeBees, let's go down to Terry Lee.
Thanks, Greg. Yeah, and as you said, Jason, they've been working really hard to put the bike back together today, but had to make an additional change to Valentin's bike today after the rider experienced a little bit of a problem in practice earlier. They actually had to swap out the engine just to be safe. So, fixed up bike completely for Valentin DeBees, the Supersport pole sitter going into today's race.
All right, thanks, Terry. Not something unusual, I guess, sometimes if a rider feels a little power loss or whatever in warm-up, but that's why the 15-minute warm-up session that we get is so vital.
Well, yeah, for sure. And the fact of the matter is that had he done it yesterday in qualifying, he would have rolled right into yesterday's race with maybe a motor that had got some mud or dirt involved in it, and that could just be the problem with the bike laying on its side, still running. We saw that bike was just caked in mud, but we talked to his crew yesterday, and they said it was mostly just dirty. It was. We looked at the frame, we looked at everything else. Nothing was scratched, nothing was bad. As we look at the track map here at Virginia, you can see it's a beautiful day. Turn 1's going to be where our primary passing points are going to be going on today. That's where we saw Valentin get in contact with Garrett yesterday. Turns 2 and 3 are pretty technical corners. Double apex left there. That's an decreasing radius. By the time you get to 4, 5, 6, that's a little S section that you'll see here. You're going to pretty much straighten out between 5, 6 down to 7 underneath the Nissan bridge. Up the hill, 7 to 10 are all up along the top of a ridge. Very, very fast and flowing second, third gear. You're going to go up to third across there, sometimes fourth even. Turn 10 and 11 is where you start dropping down, like dropping down 5 stories, almost like a reverse corkscrew, if you will, from like Laguna Seca, 10 to 11, down to turn 12. And that last 12 and 13 are so pivotal here because we can utilize the draft coming onto this front straightaway. We saw that a couple times yesterday and stuff on some of the races, and that's a lap here at VIR, and it's a really fun track. It's a rider favorite only because of all the different nuances that it has, Greg.
All right, let's take a look at highlights from yesterday in the Supersport Superstock 600 race. race at Road Atlanta. Here's a look at the results from round 3, race number 1. It was Gerloff, JD Beats, and Benny Solis. Of course, white with blue numbers means Supersport. The red with yellow numbers is the Super Stock class. So it was Michael Gilbert who led the way over Anthony Mazziato and JC Camacho on back through the field. I think Nick McFadden, who was back there, was a bit of a surprise. I know they've made some changes as well to the bike for today.
Yeah, and that's just the dry track time thing. You can see Brandon Posh, Shane Richardson, Braden Orr, Andrew Lee, some of those guys back there. And then this morning I paid, if we look at the standings real quick, and I'll get back to that point, but you look at what we got going here. JD Beach is 9 points behind his teammate Garrett Gerloff. Valentin didn't lose that much in points yesterday because he's still within a race, 21 points back. You see Benny Solis there in 4th, Brandon 5th. And then, of course, Nick McFadden right now is actually leading the Superstock championship. Actually, him and Michael are actually tied for the points leading Superstock, but he has a little bit more points in the overall Supersport category because he did the race at COTA.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, that's what you're seeing. But this morning in warm-up, Greg, it was interesting because I saw the pace seemed a lot quicker from the riders that were like 5th and back this morning. The top 4 guys were, I noticed low 27s again this morning in warm-up, but there was a lot of the Superstock guys that have gone from 31s, let's just say, down into the high 30s. So there was definitely some changes made overnight, as we kind of talked about yesterday would happen.
It's going to be a cracker of a race, no doubt about it. All right, well, the Express Kawasaki pre-race show is powered by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. And brought to you in part by Dunlop Motorcycle Tires, the only motorcycle tire designed, tested, and made in America for how you ride. The Express Kawasaki pre-race show is powered by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. And brought to you in part by Dunlop and the all-new Sport Max Q3 Plus. Now you don't have to sacrifice mileage to get top performance. Dunlop Q3 Plus. All right, just enough time as bikes get out here on their sighting lap to squeeze in another commercial break. Don't go anywhere. We'll have Terry Lee with some great interviews on the other side. MotoAmerica on BN Sports is presented by Dunlop and the all-new Sport Max Q3 Plus. Now you don't have to sacrifice mileage to get top performance. Dunlop Q3 Plus. And powered by Kawasaki. Let the good times roll. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway as we are getting ready for race number 2 of the Supersport Superstock 600 class. And here's a look at the weather. Jason, 112 degrees on the track, by far the warmest we've seen track temperatures.
Absolutely perfect temperature, to be honest with you. 79 degrees in our Suzuki weather here. And there's very, very light winds. We saw the wind kind of gusting a little bit this morning. Doesn't look as bad now, but the bikes are going to run cooler today because our outside temperature is so perfect and the track temperature is great. So, it couldn't ask for a better day.
All right, well, let's go down to the third member of our broadcast team, Terry Lee, who's with our pole sitter. Terry?
Thanks, Greg. Valentin, quick question before you get going here. Given the fact that everything that happened yesterday and you're going for your first points today, how much pressure do you feel?
Honestly, I have no pressure. I'm just here to have fun, so I will race like I race normally and keep respecting everybody on track. And even I will respect myself, and I will didn't pay attention anymore to this type of people who make some strange thing on track. But anyway, that's racing, and yesterday was yesterday. Today it's another day, so I'm really looking forward to race and have a lot of fun.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, that's M4 X-Star Suzuki's Valentin DeBees, who says he's racing to have fun.
I love it, and he's really loose. Like even when we were talking to him yesterday after the race and all the stuff that happened, he was making jokes and laughing and just, like he looks like he's having a good time, and he's confident in his whole package with the team and everything else, and he knows he's going to be fast. And yesterday was just one of those just kind of unfortunate incidents that can happen. And but like I said, he seems like he's okay with it, and he's ready to go do it again today.
All right, let's go back down to Terry, who has our championship points leader.
Yes, we do. Garrett, you're, of course, starting again, P2, back on top after a win yesterday. How confident of you are getting a 4th consecutive victory at this track?
I mean, it would be really nice, honestly, but got some stiff competition up here with Valentin and JD, and I'm just going to try to ride my own race and hit my own marks, and I think if I can do that, then I'll have a good shot at getting back on top of the podium. But you never know. These races are they're all their own beast, and they can go whichever way sometimes. So we'll see what happens, but I'm excited and ready to have a fun race.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, that's Monster Energy Yamalu YES Graves Yamaha. Garrett Gerloff, who's the #1 plate, leads the championship, and these races are their own beast. I mean, they really start to sort themselves out, and it's a great opportunity, I think, with the way the MotoAmerica format is, Jason, that we do have 2 races in back-to-back days, and I think the riders like it too.
Yeah, no question, and especially when you have a week like we've had with such changing weather conditions and stuff, and that being a new bike for those guys. It didn't look like it yesterday. Greg, I was looking up some lap times from last year, and 27.7, 27.6 kind of seemed like the normal, and yesterday he went 26.8, I believe it was, so the new bike's working pretty well for him.
It certainly is, and his teammate, who's also on that new Yamaha R6, didn't have a great day yesterday, but he's hoping to fight back. It's JD Beach.
JD, after yesterday, have you made any changes to the bike to try to catch Gerloff today?
Yeah, yesterday was the first time we really got any dry time here, and we definitely didn't have the bike where it needed to be at to beat Garrett, and so we went back to the drawing board last night, and the team did a great job of giving me a good bike for this morning, and we made some even more changes after the warm-up, not as many as we would have if we were going into like a practice session, but still made some changes, and I'm feeling good. It's going to be a tough race with these 2 boys, but it should be a good one.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, so JD really made a lot of changes. We'll get into that later on in the broadcast because I had a chance to talk with JD and the particulars about that, but a lot of it has to do with the attitude of the motorcycle and trying to get the motorcycle to steer better with the rear tire.
Yeah.
So,
well, he's a dirt tracker, as we all know, and he's not. He likes to have the bike moving around a little bit underneath him, and but yeah, the changes that we knew were going to be made overnight look like they've been made.
Race fans enjoying the beautiful weather out here on Mother's Day. Happy Mother's Day to everyone. We'll take a break. On the other side, we're going to get to racing, so don't go anywhere on beIN Sports. The weather's been a big factor here, including rain. Take a look at this time lapse from yesterday morning until the afternoon. You can see the paddock drying up. Take a look at all the activity on this great shot. Look at those clouds moving through. We didn't have much rain after this point, but it was the fact that Friday it rained on and off all day, and then we had rain overnight, and the team's really struggling for dry weather time, dry laps around this racetrack, and pretty much the races yesterday were their first good chunk of it. There were about 6 laps or so, Jason, that like Superbike got in, but now after a good bit of information for most of the riders, not the M4 X-Star Suzuki team of Valentin DeBees, but definitely the Yamahas had some good information to go off of to improve those motorcycles.
Yeah, well, those are the new bikes, so for sure. And I think the hardest thing for these guys as we get ready to look at the starting grid here, let's have a look at it. Valentin DeBees on pole, Garrett Gerloff, JD Beach there in 3rd. Benny Solis, who finished 3rd in yesterday's race, Michael Gilbert and Anthony Mazziato, the 2 front runners in Superstock, finishing 1st and 2nd yesterday, are on row 2. Nick McFadden, Connor Blevins, and Brandon Haas round out row 3. Jody Berry, who was a follower yesterday. JC Camacho, outstanding ride by him yesterday to put it on the podium in Superstock with Daytona Anderson next to him.
And on back, Brandon Cleland, California guy, 975. Andrew Lee, Shane Richardson, New Zealander. And on back through the field, it's pretty stacked. And again, you're seeing the yellow numbers with the red around them. That indicates the Superstock 600 class. It's a race inside of a race. Supersport and Superstock 600. And so some of these riders, including Xavier Zayat, made it into the last chance qualifier race. So it's a race that happens earlier on today. The top 5 from the riders in that event get to take the grid and get in the show. So it's a little bit of a extra incentive for those riders that don't quite make it in qualifying, outright qualifying. Because we're already on our warm-up lap, Jason. This looks like it's going to be a spectacular day of racing. Let's take a look at the Kawasaki keys to the race, Jason, because we know there's a lot of different things going on as the temperature goes up and, with all the track temperature in here, but there's more to it.
Yeah, well, we saw that Garrett Gerloff kind of had the pace yesterday. I think when I close the gap to this, I was talking more about towards the end of the race, who's going to have it. We didn't get to see if Valentin could go that race pace at the end. I have a feeling he's going to be able to once he makes it to the end of the race. But I think for JD, those changes that he made overnight that I'm sure you'll elaborate on, we'll see if those are helping him. The overnight adjustments, this pretty much goes throughout the field. Who's made some big changes to their bikes and got 15 minutes to practice it this morning. I know that there's a number of people that I spoke to that made some gearing changes and some subtle adjustments overnight, suspension-wise, it'll be interesting to see. Very few of these riders stay with the exact same setup as they had yesterday. And let's keep an eye on this super stock battle. We got a points championship back there as well that is tied between Nick McFadden, Michael Gilbert. They've got a 12-point spread, I think, before they get back to, Jason Aguilar, who's back there also, who Jason didn't have the best qualifying, so he's coming from a little bit further back on the grid, but he's very, very fast around here. And so we'll keep an eye on that super stock battle the best that we can also.
But this battle up front is going to be fierce no matter what it is. The question is who's going to be able to keep it on 2 wheels. Earlier in the day, if you saw on BN Sports Connect, we had the KTM race, and we had many riders falling off on their own accord. And so track conditions here might be a little tricky when we get to this level, though. Professional racers have been doing this a long time. We'll have to see if they can manage these conditions. The track is warming up. From the time we showed you that weather graphic until now, track temperature's gone up another 4 degrees. All right, here we go. Upper left-hand part of your screen. There, the red lights are on. When they're off, we're heading to turn 1. Looks like a pretty decent launch from Valentin DeBees, but on the inside, JD Beach, man, he's got that dialed in.
What a great start. He just absolutely nailed it. We're going to see early here if his bike looks any better than it did yesterday. Yesterday, there was just a lot of movement. He didn't look like he was confident just getting the bike to go the directions he needed it to go. So we'll see here very early on new tires as we see Benny Solis has slotted himself into that 4th spot. It looks like Connor Blevins got the jump on the Superstock field. Back there, 5th place right now.
All right, so it is Monster Energy, Yamaha YS, Graves Yamaha, JD Beach, followed by M4 X-Star Suzuki's Valentin DeBees. And look at Garrett Gerloff there in 3rd spot, just making the most of those curbings. And on back to the field, they start to sort themselves out. Obviously, this is lap 1, getting those tires up to temperature right now, as it looks like Benny Solis just losing a little bit heading into that corner.
Yeah, these 3 guys just seem to always get that gap early and just pull away ever so slightly. You can see Benny's pulling away from the rest of the field, but these 3 up front just set just a little bit quicker pace than Benny can on the Honda.
Last time we were in this situation yesterday, Jason, Garrett Gerloff was in the same spot, and he did basically a double draft into turn 1, which caused a little bit of confusion for Valentin DeBees, and he wasn't able to navigate it. So we'll see if this runs a little different. Here we go onto the front straightaway. Take a look at the middle bike. That's Suzuki, and see what kind of power it has versus these brand new Yamaha R6s. There goes Gerloff on the inside. Oh, that's tight as you like it.
Just like you said, Greg, it's almost a carbon copy, except for Garrett couldn't get himself all the way to the front. JD's in there very deep. Valentin's going to turn it up underneath him. Nope, just to the outside of him. It looked a little distorted there on the camera. I thought he was sliding back up underneath him there, but yeah, there was no change down that front straightaway whatsoever, but it was shaping up to look just like it did yesterday.
That was pretty close for Valentin DeBees as he was really deep on those brakes, but he got that Suzuki turn, and we continue on. So it's JD Beach, Valentin DeBees, Garrett Gerloff, Benny Solis, Connor Blevins back there with Nick McFadden and Anthony Mazziato, Brandon Posh, and Michael Gilbert all in the mix, including Jason Aguilar. Those are all the front runners in the Superstock 600 class, and it is getting pretty gnarly behind these 3. But all eyes are on the front right now. Looking at these changes, JD Beach told Terry right before the race started that they made some changes and for the warm-up, but they continued to make a couple of extra changes, and it seems like the team, at least early going, has hit on something because, Jay, this rear tire doesn't look as nervous as it did in yesterday's race.
It definitely looks a little bit better, and we're ultimately going to be able to tell once we start looking at the lap times here. And very early on in this race, JD's bike does look a little bit better, and I'm curious to know kind of what lap JD started feeling bad yesterday. Right now, new tires can mask a lot of things. So we're going to start paying attention in 5-6 laps from now, Greg, of where we're at, and we'll see if those changes have really made a difference. And you can see Valentin is right in the draft of JD, but look how deep JD's going into turn one.
Oh, look at Valentin, though.
Valentin's going deeper.
Oh, and he loses it. Unbelievable.
Wow.
He was so deep on the brakes. Valentin DeBees pushing so hard to take the race lead, and just a miscue. Oh, you can see the disappointment on his face, of course. The question is, with the seat off, can he get that bike back to the pits and get back out there? This is a deep field of riders. So it's going to be interesting to see as we have 9 deep on the starting grid, if he can actually get that bike back and going. So now M4 X-Star Suzuki out of contention for the win, and that leaves Benny Solis yet again in a position to finish on the podium.
I honestly can't believe that I just saw that, because that guy has been riding so amazing this year and just riding really honestly mistake-free. And I wouldn't say yesterday was a mistake. I think yesterday was a pure racing incident. Today, that was just a mistake. That's just getting in a little bit too deep, trail braking a long way into the corner, and you can see he's got to get back on that bike. He's got to just see if he can salvage something, and it's going to be virtually impossible. Obviously, he's not going to be able to race it with the bike looking like that. He's just touring back to the pits, and hopefully that rear tail section stays in place. But you can see here, he's just trying everything he can to get that bike slowed down. He was kind of at that point, Greg, where you either decide, I'm going to keep trying to squeeze the lever on a little bit more, or I've got to stand the bike upright and go straight. And he chose to just kind of keep trying to squeeze that lever on and just pulled on the front brake lever just a little bit too heavy. So now we just got to hope that bike makes it back around to pit lane without shedding any of its body parts. So I feel horrible for him because he's been riding so amazing this year.
Good dude, really enjoys, like we heard at the top of the show, he likes to have some fun when he races, and he didn't feel the pressure of the championship, but the fun is over, at least for now, for Valentin DeBees, as JD Beach now going underneath Garrett Gerloff, and that's the way the motorcycle likes to go for JD. Garrett Gerloff likes to ride with the wheels in a line. JD likes to get on the brakes and have the rear end come around on him a little bit. It's that dirt track style, and that's the way he prefers it. Really difficult for the team to share setup information, electronics information, absolutely, especially as it relates to the fuel management system and so on.
Yeah, and Garrett rides his bike very much in line all the time. And if you remember last year, Garrett dominated at the beginning of the year on the tracks that we start off the season on. And then JD just kind of came into his own, and it's kind of shaping up to be that way again, although JD has a win already this year, runaway victory at COTA. The thing is that Garrett just seems like he's able to just kind of sit there. They're 27 flat that last lap for Garrett Gerloff. So he's already shown that he's running the pace. 27.4 for JD Beach. The first lap, though, they went 26.8. So JD Beach went 26.8 in the first lap. So we're going to keep an eye and see if they can sustain this pace, how long they can sustain it. You can see he's in the draft again there of JD. But JD looks like something's gotten a lot better under initial braking. He looks like he's able to take it in there a little bit further. Benny Solis, again, has watched what's gone on in front of him. He's got plus almost 4 seconds on the battle behind him, which is our first Superstock bikes, but he's already lost 5 seconds to these front two. But he's back there in third place.
So Garrett Gerloff, JD Beach, Monster Energy, Yamalu YES Graves Yamahas going after it. JD Beach looking a lot more comfortable on his R6 2017 model. One of the benefits of the 2017 model, there's actually more digital parameters built into that motorcycle stock, which allows the team to use the sensors that come stock to open up the parameters in terms of the electronics, which is really, we talk about it a lot, Jason. It's a huge component of racing these days.
Yeah, absolutely. The electronics now is what runs the bike. Greg, hardly, whenever we go down around the pits, nobody's really talking about suspension anymore, are they? It's always electronics this, electronics that. We're trying to control this, we're trying to control that. And it's, back in the day, it was, oh yeah, I need 2 turns of preload or a little bit of compression. We don't ever hear that anymore. It's basically what they read on data is how they adjust these motorcycles. And I think that some of that can get lost because ultimately it's what you feel as a rider underneath you that you need to change. And sometimes the computer can tell you something other than what you're actually feeling. And you can see again, these guys are drafting and redrafting. We're going to see a lot of this, but the pace isn't that fast. 27.7 to 27.6, which kind of tells me that maybe Garrett has some pace again. But 27.7 it isn't fast for what these guys are capable of doing.
2 different riding styles from these riders and the way they like to have the motorcycle Set up. JD Beach likes a bit more of a flat motorcycle, which means the way the motorcycle is set up from the front wheel to the rear wheel, you can actually set them up where the front wheel's higher or the front wheel's lower. And Garrett Gerloff likes to have a bike we call nose heavy because he rides more traditional road race style. JD Beach, a little bit of a flatter motorcycle, which allows him to control the bike when he's under heavy braking. When it starts, the rear end of the motorcycle starts to move around. It's completely a preference. I think a lot of it has to do with how you grew up riding a motorcycle, racing a motorcycle. But you can see that no matter what the setup is, these two riders are able to go around the racetrack at the same clip.
Yep, and that's the neat thing about watching two teammates on the exact same bike doing two things a little bit differently. I bet gearing and everything's really similar on these two bikes, but everything else they do both ride a little bit different. You'll see some different lines. Garrett has a tendency to cut the curbs over in the S's a little bit more than JD does, and but under initial braking right now, JD's bike looks better than it did yesterday.
Now, Jason, VIR is an older track, made in 1957. It took a bit of a breather, I guess, in the 60s and 70s and 80s, more or less, because the old owner of the track, as Garrett Gerloff tries to go up the inside on brakes, he won't get there. But the old owner of the track, there were some quote-unquote hippies that used to come out here and basically squat, and he was so upset that people were coming on the property that he shut it down for many years.
Wow.
And after he passed, the family reopened the track. And but one of the characteristics of VIR is that for a road course, there are parts which seem very narrow.
Yeah, this track is very narrow.
It's very narrow. So when you're in Garrett Gerloff's position, as we take a look at the battle, the crazy battle for fourth, and even in this battle, okay, in Superstock 600, right? How difficult is it to follow the leader here as Michael Gilbert dives underneath?
Nick McFadden leading, Michael Gilbert second, Connor Blevins third. So Michael just went underneath Connor.
Yep. How difficult is it to follow around here and be able to see the line that you want? Because it can be such a one-line narrow track in some spots.
Well, when you get to the level that a lot of these guys are, they know that the pace is going to be relatively the same in a lot of the corners. So you've got to really plan and pick your spots of where it is you want to get your passing done. And as we go back up here to the front, and these two guys again, but you've got to you realize turn 1 is going to be a prime passing spot opportunity. Turn 7 is another one of those that can definitely come into play. We've seen also turn 10. These guys right now are at the bottom in turn 13. There's really 3 good passing spots because the rest of it, Greg, is very narrow. So it makes, unless something kind of crazy happens, and Garrett's trying to go down the inside this time on the draft, and he's able to get by this time, it looks like.
There he goes, Garrett Gerloff with a nice move, little lean, increase of RPM, and he shoots right by his teammate JD Beach. So now, with 13 laps to go, Garrett Gerloff takes the lead. Now we're going to see what you're talking about, JP. Does he have the pace? Does he have anything in the tank? Like, was he just biding his time? As now JD wants to fight right back. Look at him go, dive into the inside. Wow.
And that's the second time that we've seen that, though. And, I think Garrett, what he wants to do is he wants to get out and run his line and try to get himself. There's a difference in lines right there that I was talking about earlier. But, Garrett's got to kind of get to know that that's JD's little move there as they roll off into turn 4. And start protecting that a little bit, because if he wants to start running his own pace, he's got to get through that little section clean. But JD is able to just slide back underneath him, and we've seen him do that now twice in this 6 laps that we've raced. So JD feels very comfortable under the brakes, and that's, again, might be one of those adjustments that you heard them say that they made, Greg. Under braking, JD looks a lot more strong today than he did yesterday.
JD Beach leads away from Garrett Gerloff. Benny Solis on the Honda in 3rd place. Michael Gilbert, Nick McFadden, Connor Blevins, Anthony Mazziato in 7th. As we take a look at a replay, this is the late part of the pass.
Yeah, and that's just going into turn 4, and Garrett sets that. JD sets that up as they exit turn 3. He's able to get a really good drive out of turn 3, and Garrett holds that line just open, just a little bit too long, and invites JD down the inside.
Oh, looked like Garrett Gerloff had a notion. He thinks better of it. JD slams the door shut, and here we go. This is through the exit of turn number 1, into 2 and 3. JD Beach, Monster Energy, Yamalu, YES, Graves, Yamahas. Now, listen, we talked about electronics. Chuck Graves, the owner of this team, as JD Beach gets a little bit sideways there, talked about the reinvigoration of himself. The R6 had been around for many years, and the parameters were set in terms of what you're able to do electronically. This actually opens up what Chuck Graves is able to do in terms of fiddling with electronics and getting inside these motorcycles. For instance, we talked about 6 different channels for traction control available on the old bike. With the way that these new channels are on this bike and what's available in terms of electronics. It opens it up to 56 different settings of traction control. It looks like JD Beach might need a little bit as he goes a little sideways there.
Good call. He definitely might need a little bit. His bike still doesn't look as stable, does it, as Garrett's?
No.
I mean, Garrett's bike still looks like it's on rails, and he's able to just kind of run these paces. And I feel that JD, I mean, we've seen JD run at the front and make it look so easy and just pulling away and getting away. And it just looks like here he's just doing everything he can to hold on to this pace the best he can. 27.6 the last lap through. And here comes Garrett again. He's going to try to do something and go up underneath him as they head down into turn 1. But JD, under initial braking, is so strong right now, it's made it really hard for Garrett to go by him. But the bike's just, here we go. This is going down through turn 9, and you're going to see JD's bike. See it just come, and all it's doing right there is it's unloading as it goes up over the top of that ridge, just unloading a little bit. And now we're into that turn 3, turn 4 area. And you can see JD turns in a little bit earlier, bike backs in a little bit, and Garrett's bike just kind of stays in line. And it just looks super comfortable right now for Garrett.
We're halfway through the Supersport race number 2 here at Virginia International Raceway. And out front, it's JD Beach on the 95, his teammate, Garrett Gerloff, both riders riding for the Monster Energy Yamalu YS Graves Yamaha team. Oh, man,
you see that? That's coming up over that little rise, Greg. And again, it falls away from you there. And you saw how tight Garrett can come out of there, and JD's just a little bit wider. And Garrett's watching all this. He's seeing his teammate's bike moving around and going sideways. 27.6 again on that last lap. What I'm really curious to see is if Garrett gets through, what kind of lap times he can just go run on his own for like a lap or two. That's what I'm curious to know.
Garrett Gerloff, he's got a good head about him too. He might be thinking with the temperature that he's just comfortable to hang on to the back of JD right now and just kind of see what his tires are going to do. And when push comes to shove, Garrett's going to make the moves when he needs to, just like right now. So Gerloff sweeping to the front into turn number 1, and JD Beach back to second. Garrett knows that JD wants to strike at turn 4. Uh-oh, Gerloff a little wide, and there it is. So Gerloff pretty deep in there. Side by side they go. JD, does he have enough room? He has to lift his knee up as Gerloff's wheels there.
Good racing by these guys. Really tight, close, clean, racing. And there's a good camera shot there of the 2 different lines as they roll off into turn 4. But Garrett just outbroke himself just a little in turn 1. And if you remember earlier on when Valentin crashed, I said you have a choice. You can either continue to keep tipping it in or stand it up. Garrett chose to just stand it up a little bit. Good look at Benny Solis. Benny back here is running about a second off of these guys. He's running mid 28s to low 28s. He went 28.4 was his best. But this is one of those things where this is a privateer team. This is owned by Benny and his dad, and they got a good group of guys down there with Marco and Jason helping out, and they've done everything they can to stretch every last bit of potential out of this little Honda CBR 600. It's been a while since Honda's come out with anything new, and Benny's been working really hard on getting this bike as dialed in as he can. And it's going to be a nice boost for them to have this kind of result 2 days in a row if he can just hold on to 3rd place here.
It is, Jason, but you know what? Our cameras are so good. It looks like there's a little bit of front chatter in that bike.
Yeah, he's been talking about that a little bit.
Very typical, actually, about the CBR 600R with the Dunlops for years and years and years, as they've already gone through some lap traffic as Gerloff takes the lead once again. So Garrett Gerloff fighting right back after JD Beach took it over. So here comes turn 4. Can JD stay in tow? And will Gerloff leave the door wide open again? Or is this the moment where Garrett says, okay, we're past the halfway point. Now I've got to set the pace. Nope. Here comes JD.
It's just, I think I might have figured something out here too, Greg. Right. Next time they go through there, I want you to pay attention because I think JD Beach does a back shift to 2nd gear for turn 3. So he can drive out of there a lot harder in 2nd gear than can Garrett Gerloff. So it might just be the simple fact that JD's doing a downshift and he's able to accelerate because he sure is able to get up alongside Garrett very easily between those 2 turns. Garrett might have his bike set up to carry a lot more roll speed in 3rd gear through turns 2 and 3. And it looks like JD does a back shift early and he's able to really drive the bike out of there and get himself up alongside before they get into turn 4. So we'll pay attention to that next time through.
Nice little wheelie from Garrett Gerloff. Coming through that corner yesterday that we just saw, that series of corners, Garrett was lighting up the rear tire and having a bit of a slide. This time it looks like the motorcycle's a little bit more compliant, even though he said he was really enjoying the rhythm of yesterday. So 27.637 last time by. JD Beach actually owns the fastest lap of the race. That was done on lap 2 at 26.890. So once again, JD just likes to take that wide.
He's so good, though, getting in there heavy on the brakes, and he's able to get the bike slowed down. And it's just one of those things where Garrett just can't get by him and run his pace and run his own lap.
See if we can see what you're talking about in terms of those shifts now.
Yeah, see, JD does a back shift there. I mean, JD does a back shift, and he's able to get out of this corner really strong. And you see Garrett just doesn't quite get out of there as quickly as he does.
So interesting little squirt off the corner there in that particular section. So Garrett Gerloff has got to figure out another way other than the front straightaway to make a move. I think, Jason, looking at the way things are unfolding right now with the strength of JD Beach from this section on up, I mean, Garrett's got to really be thinking, he's got to be sorting it out right now. Where is he going to make a move? Because I think turn 7 might be an option for him. We've seen some people in years past at VIR do some crazy bomb passes down in turn 12 at the bottom of the hill. This is turn 10 up at the top. They go right here left. They're going to go down to turn 11. And as they continue down the hill, as they transition it back to the right, so there's 12 right there. This is down into 12B, I guess they call it.
Yep.
We have seen some
13,
people make some moves down there, but that is an awfully fast place to make a pass. So does Garrett Gerloff have the speed, or does JD Beach have him covered? So side by side they go. So we know Gerloff is able to get a really good drive out of the last corner. And lap traffic up ahead. The 59 machine is there. Blue flags will be waving.
This is where yesterday, look at Garrett just keeps running wide. Every time he tries to get into turn 1, and here we go. They're into traffic now. JD's going to get the point, and Garrett's going to go through, which is good. But Garrett, every time he takes the lead down the front straightaway, that extra little bit of speed he gets from the draft makes it harder for him to get his bike slowed down. And 27.3 is the last lap for both of them.
You can see on the graphic on your screen the last lap difference. That's definitely the draft. I mean, these riders running equal times, basically. So
exactly, Greg. And it's just that little bit extra 2-3 mile an hour is all it takes to feel like you can't make it into that corner. You just can't get the bike slowed down. And I think also he knows how good JD is under initial braking, headed off into that corner.
So Garrett Gerloff in second spot over JD Beach. That might be a sign of what's to come. Trying to get that look up turn number 10. And Garrett knows, he's smart enough to know he doesn't want to do that too early. That was just a test. So it's JD Beach, Garrett Gerloff right now. Benny Solis, Michael Gilbert, Nick McFadden, Jason Aguilar, and Connor Blevins are in a mix with Anthony Mazziato, Daytona Anderson, JC Camacho. There's your top 10. As Brandon Posh had a bit of some type of an incident as he's working his way up through the field, is the Supersport rider. He's in 12th spot currently. So here we go. It's the number 1 plate. He gets in there now. Does he get it stopped? JD Beach trying to square up the corner. Gerloff a little wide. This time he's got it.
Now we got to see what happens here. Now we're heading into turn 3 here. It looks like Garrett does a downshift also. So they're both doing back shifts into this corner. But he's got to get the bike over to the left more. That's what he's trying to do.
Trying to block it.
Now he should be able to turn him back in. Nope. That's JD's move every time. He does not want to let Garrett lead a lap. That's the thing. I think JD knows if he lets Garrett lead, he might just get away, and that's JD's determined to pass. And this is the difference between yesterday and today. Yesterday, if you remember, Garrett was running into these back markers first. JD runs wide going up the hill.
Wow, so there's a mistake that Garrett Gerloff needed. However, there is lap traffic up ahead, and Garrett knows from yesterday that running into lap traffic has slowed him down. So this could be the opening that Garrett Gerloff finally needs to get off and running. And it looks like it's going to be a little slow. It's kind of one line up through this section. So if JD can catch right onto the back of him, we're going to see if JD can. Ooh, JD looks like he's got a little bit of a thing going on there.
Yeah.
That was a bit of lost time, like he rushed into that corner.
It's very hard, and right now they're both getting held up just a little bit, but this is definitely going to play in Garrett's favor because he's going to get a little bit of a slingshot off of that back marker, and JD, he's going to get one too. He'll be back on the back of Garrett by the time they get down to turn 1. But now I really want to see the lap times. If Garrett can run one full clean lap on his own, and you can see there's still more back markers coming up. There's still some more traffic in front of these guys. So we'll have to pay close attention to see what happens here. Now JD is not close enough this particular lap to do something with Garrett in turn 4. Let's see if Garrett moves over.
That's it. That's the big thing. Is Garrett going to move over? No, he knows that JD's not right on him. That was the line he wants to take. That more corner, that more roll speed you're talking about, Jason. And now Garrett Gerloff's potential. He's got a little bit more body English than he's had before. Up and over the curb, that's his line. Here comes some traffic. Oh, and it looks like they're going to be good enough to get around him. I don't
Ashton
think.
Yates, good for him. Just moving out of the way a little bit and let these guys through. Ashton straight from our KTM 390 Cup Series last year.
17th spot.
And he's gone faster today than he did yesterday, 31.6 for Ashton. So good move by him to just kind of get over, let these two guys squeeze through. And look at that. We talked to Garrett about that bike sliding there through turn 9. This morning we spoke to him and he goes, yeah, the bike feels so good through there and it's really consistent. You know, it's a good feeling when you have a bike that you know is able to do that lap after
And he
lap.
hadn't been sliding following JD. Boop, JD, a little bit on the rear tire.
He's pushing great.
He is
definitely
pushing hard. He might not have any rear tire left at this point, where Garrett was camping back there for most of the race and saving that rear tire. So down the front straight there, JD just trying to sniff any draft that he can. The 710 of Ryan Christensen up ahead.
JD's in deep. JD's really good. JD's really good on the brakes into turn 1, and he went 27.1 that last lap, Greg, and had clocked his highest speed at 162 mile an hour down that straightaway. So let's see what happens here as they're catching Ryan Christian here.
Ryan gets out of the way.
Great
well
job
done.
by Ryan.
Yep.
Also, we go back here. Look at Benny. Benny's still running around. Now he's kind of in the low 29s now, running in a solid 3rd place.
Benny Solis on that Honda, supported by American Honda. Here's the 59.
JC Camacho.
JC Camacho.
Podium finisher yesterday in Superstock. Looks like he might have a problem. You know what, Greg? I saw him come in the pits earlier, but and we still have him on our screen as 10th, but that was Michael Gilbert going by him. So I'm not exactly sure what happened there. That might have been.
So that was Jared Nasty.
Yeah, it was Jared Nasty.
Altus Motorsports on the 59.
Yep. JC Camacho running back there in 10th.
So JD Beach has caught back up to Garrett Gerloff. Erased the deficit of about 10 bike lengths. Now it's just 1 or 2, but look at how Gerloff gets out of that corner. Now we'll see. Look at JD's rear tire, man. He has definitely worn that thing out.
It is worn out, but he's close enough to draft now. With 4 to go, he's close enough. Garrett didn't get out of there as good as he would have liked either, I don't think. But look at how close Garrett. Look at that. Just getting out of there, just not quite good enough. Allowed JD to pull up, not quite up alongside of him, but he tried to.
I think JD had to kind of get off of it a little bit because Garrett was like, oh, JD Beach is deep bent sideways. He gets it yard down, though. He gets it to the apex of the corner. But JD, could he be close enough now to throw him, Garrett Gerloff, that shot in turn 4? Garrett, he'll be able to hear and feel JD Beach. So here we go. Coming out of turn 3. This is JD's move. He's on an inside line, and he's going for it. Gerloff leaves the door open. There goes JD to retake the lead.
I'm surprised that Garrett keeps letting him have that opportunity to do that to him. But I like the line that you see. JD used a little bit more of the curbing that time than he had in the other parts of the race. So he obviously went to school on his teammate, saw him using a little bit more curbing, so he used a little bit more there. This is where we saw JD make a mistake. The thing that makes JD so good is he just never gives up. Neither one of these two guys do. Neither one of these two guys will ever give up. And even though Garrett's bike has looked a little bit more solid this race, look at JD's got that thing sideways, and like you said, Greg, his tire is shot.
I really do think it is. JD now sliding sideways through turn 10. So I think what it's really going to come down to is how far down is the start-finish line, because JD Beach at this point, he's got to carry a certain pace that he knows he's going to be able to do here, because it's already been proven he can't get away from Garrett Gerloff. Look at the line now. JD kind of taking that a little tighter as Mo's on the board cheering his rider on.
It actually helps more than you think seeing your guys do that today, especially late in the race.
Couldn't tell you.
Exactly. But let's just see. You definitely see a different tire wear pattern on JD's rear tire than you can on Garrett's, Greg. So that was a good catch on your part there. But you watch from this angle here when these guys go off and they roll off into turn 4. See how much earlier JD's getting his bike turned in, and the little bit of backing in he's doing is actually helping the bike get down closer to the curbing a little bit earlier. So his line's going to be a little bit different on the exit part of that left, but it doesn't really matter because the next right after that, there's no straightaway or anything like that. He can just carry that roll speed right into that next right.
All right, so at this point, I think Garrett Gerloff, if he has anything in the tank to throw at JD Beach, we might see something at the top of turn 10, which is coming up, or he's going to try that on the last lap. Kind of looks like, in a way, that Garrett Gerloff is kind of giving JD this run right now and maybe saving it for the last lap. And here we go, top of 10. Nope, Gerloff, a couple bike lengths behind. Something tells me that Gerloff is planning this move coming out of the last corner and seeing if he can draft JD Beach right now. You know what, Jason? I mean, just looking at this right now, if Garrett Gerloff may have been opening the door and maybe baiting JD into turn number 4 if he can get close enough, although JD got a good drive.
Great drive. And unless Garrett can get by him before the brakes, I think it's going to be hard for him to outbrake JD. JD's so good on the brakes down here into turn 1. And you can see he's moved over. Garrett's going to have a go, though.
And here he goes, Garrett Gerloff on the final lap of this race. He gets the bike slowed down.
Now what's going to happen when they get to turn 4? What is going to happen? I'm really curious to see. Garrett literally has to park JD at the apex of this next left. If he can slow down a little bit here and come out tighter and not allow JD to go underneath him like this.
Oh, Garrett Gerloff's in deep. He knows JD's coming. Can JD get it stopped? He does.
Could
that be the race? Okay, so Gerloff is cutting it back.
Nope.
He had to sit up a little bit.
Though. You can see he was, that was his try to get it cut back underneath JD. JD is so strong in turn 4. It'll be interesting to see what he thought of his braking performance in this race as far as the bike and the changes that they made overnight. Now, where's he going to go next, Greg?
He's got to try him up in turn 10, Jay, I think, and here we go. We're on our way right now. He hasn't made the move on JD Beach, so this one might come as a surprise. Although I know these guys watched the Superbike race from yesterday, and they know it's possible. Here comes Gerloff. He's in there tight, but JD slams the door shut. That might have been the race. So here we go. It's going to come down to the drive onto the front straightaway. Can JD Beach make these Dunlop tires work for him? Does he have any move? So here comes Garrett Gerloff. He's trying to get the bike turned. JD already up on the meat of the tire, and it looks like a good move from JD Beach. Here we go. 2 Yamahas of equal strength coming down the front straightaway. JD leans the bike over, and they come across the line.
What a
JD
race.
Beach. What a masterful performance by JD Beach to win and snap Garrett Gerloff's winning streak here at VIR.
And Benny Solis to actually close the gap today from yesterday. He's in a little bit of traffic right now. He doesn't have anybody behind him to worry about. But Benny Solis closed this gap today by over half the distance that he lost to those Yamahas by yesterday. He's closed that down. So this is going to be a mini victory for Benny to get 2 podium finishes on the weekend for him. That's an outstanding result for him.
Congratulations to Benny Solis. He comes across the line taking the checkered flag, finishing in third.
Michael Gilbert wins the Superstock category again with looks like Jason Aguilar. Here comes Connor Blevins. Nick McFadden finishes third in Superstock, so he keeps his podium streak alive. Connor Blevins is going to finish 4th in Superstock, 7th overall. Anthony Mazziato, 8th. JC Camacho should be next on our list as another Superstock bike should be coming through. But JD Beach right now is ecstatic with that race win today.
JD Beach, what a crafty race, Jason.
Yeah,
I mean,
amazing.
really a crafty race. And you could tell there's only a couple places on this racetrack where Garrett Gerloff could have thrown a shot to JD Beach. And I'm going to say,
Garrett's having fun with the fans. That's pretty cool to see. Like, he finishes second, but he's still off having a good time with the crowd. And but you're exactly right. I think that a neat question to ask JD, later on will be, did he not feel like he could let Garrett lead a full lap? I'd be very curious to know what he thought there. So somebody's going to get a souvenir. And a good look at Benny Solis on that CBR 600 Honda. 2 podium finishes for those guys. That's going to give that team a big boost.
Oh, yeah.
Getting ready for Road America.
And we know there's some folks in Torrance, California right now that are definitely cheering on Benny Solis Jr. as he takes his Honda CBR 600 RR to his 2nd podium finish of the weekend. And one of the best places you could possibly do it, too, I think, for the CBR 600, even though the front end of that motorcycle suffers from a little bit of chatter in terms of the horsepower difference or drivability or acceleration, this is going to be one of those better tracks for
Benny, for sure, Greg.
No question about it. So JD Beach wins over Garrett Gerloff, Benny Solis, and of course that Superstock 600 battle. A great one between Michael Gilbert, Jason Aguilar, Nick McFadden. At least Nick had a big improvement. You can see that the results down there, all those yellow numbers are the Superstock battle.
Jason, too. Jason came from so far back on the grid both days to finish where he ended up is great. He was on row 6, Greg.
Yeah.
So Garrett's doing a big stand-up wheelie with no face shield. So
there's a national champion who really is out here enjoying what he's doing for a living.
Yep, absolutely. And
I mean, can you imagine if you worked at Walmart running the register, if you could feel like that after your day at the office?
Yeah, it's pretty good.
How amazing would that be? So congratulations to JD Beach, Garrett Gerloff, and Benny Solis. Those are our riders who will be standing on the podium here at VIR in just a few moments. They'll be in Parc Ferme, and we will get a chat with them from Terry Lee on the other side of our commercial break. And we'll also hopefully get to talk at least to a Superstock rider as well. So don't go anywhere on BN Sports. We'll be back to VIR in a moment.
Hey, Pop.
Hey,
Nice.
thank you, man.
Nice.
Thank you. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway here at MotoAmerica, the AMA FIM Superbike Championship. We just wrapped up Supersport race number 2, where the margin of victory was under 1/10 of a second. And our race winner is with Terry Lee.
JD, congratulations on a second win of the season. Was there ever concern in this race that if Gerloff could get out front, he would just get away from you?
Yeah, that's why I kept stuffing him every chance I had. I mean, he's riding so good. His crew's got his bike working so well, and my bike's working awesome. The R6 is such a great bike, but I think we're just a little behind a little bit. But if you're gonna leave the door open the last lap on a double left-hander for a dirt tracker, I'm coming through. So it was a good race.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That is the greatest.
I
That's
love
it. If you're going to leave the door open on a
Can't
double
do it.
left-hander for a dirt tracker, as we see right here, and watch JD, watch the attitude of his motorcycle, watch that front wheel. It's perfect. I mean, it's a perfect design corner for JD.
It's not going to be denied, and that's the thing. And you and I talked about it. There was no way. I feel like that JD thought, and we saw a little bit of this in MotoGP with Valentino Rossi against Marquez a couple of years ago, where he could not let Marquez lead a full lap. It was like, as soon as he goes by, I got to do something with him because he felt like he didn't have the pace that Marquez had. It's the same thing today, and you heard the honesty in JD. We're still a little bit behind. Garrett's bike looks a lot more stable. He's able to carry a lot more speed, and it was a great race, and good on JD. Great racecraft.
All right, let's hear what Garrett Gerloff had to say about that race, Terry.
Yes, Garrett, of course, back out onto second place for this race after winning yesterday. What happened in that last lap?
I mean, tried to get him in one and was braking as hard as I could. That front was bouncing around a little bit, and I thought I could hold him, and he was super good into turn 4, and I tried to just close the line on him, but he wasn't having it, and he stuffed it up in there on me, and I was trying to figure out where else I could pass him. I felt strong all race coming out of like 13 into 14 at the top of the hill, and was going to try to outbrake him, and I got a run on him, but he broke deep, and like I didn't want to pull a move that somebody else did yesterday, so I tried to back off a little bit and get the thing slowed down, and luckily I was able to. But man, awesome race. That was super fun with JD. He's riding really good today. Stepped it up a lot from yesterday, and had a good bike, had a good team behind me, and really just can't thank them enough. And got to give it up to Shoei helmets, Core-Tech leather, seated boots, and got to say a special happy Mother's Day to my mom. Mom, I love you. Thanks for all the sacrifices you made for me growing up, and I couldn't have done it without you. So just thanks to her, and got to give all the glory to my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So thank you.
Congrats.
All right, so exactly what we talked about there. I mean, Garrett knew it was coming, and up at the top, they call it 14. For us, it's actually turn 10.
Yep.
And he thought he was going to try to throw a shot there. And they watched the Superbike race yesterday. They knew exactly what happened, and so Garrett didn't want that same misfortune to happen to him.
He got those 20 points, didn't take his teammate out. They're on to the next round. They got a big points lead now between the two of them.
Yep.
With Valentin's bad luck this weekend, shall we call it.
Yep.
So the thing is that he's not going to go share the same truck after just taking out his teammate, and he did a great job there, did Garrett.
Privateer Benny Solis Jr. and his H35 team, 2 podiums on the weekend. Terry, Benny's got to be happy. What do you think?
I think he is pretty happy, Greg. Benny, obviously 2 podiums on the weekend. How thrilled are you with that race?
I'm really happy. Honestly, my team worked really hard. Friday was raining all day, and I was running, I think, out of the top 12. Made an improvement on the podium yesterday, then today we were there when it counted again. So just really happy to get third again. It's good for my team, good for my sponsors. Huge thanks to all my sponsors who helped me out. I wouldn't be out here without them. American Honda, my team, Kalen Ventures, JP40 Training, and then all my little personal sponsors. There's a long list. They all know who they are. Happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, especially my beautiful one. And I do want to dedicate this race to Maria Sid, Farmers Insurance. I hope she's doing well.
Thank you.
All right,
Awesome.
Happy Mother's Day to everyone out there. I know my mom's not watching this program right now.
Well, you did call her. I saw you call her.
Yeah.
She called you on Mother's Day. But yeah, all these guys are stoked to do something for their mom today, and you can see that chatter we're talking about right there, Greg. You see that? As Benny goes to tip it in, I want you guys to all think about what it must be like to ride a bike at that pace for 20 laps and have that chatter, and that's just something that they're continuously trying to get worked out on that bike. So looking at the race results, JD Beach with the win by +0.
I know. That's exactly it, because it was less than 1/10 of a second,
Amazing.
.099. But you mentioned it, Jason. Benny Solis closed the gap from
17
yesterday.
seconds different than yesterday, so that's a big thing. Michael Gilbert does his first double in Superstock. Jason Aguilar coming from the 6th row, outstanding. Nick McFadden continues showing that he's going to be a force to be reckoned with in that championship this year with another podium. Connor Blevins, Anthony Mazziato with a great weekend for him. Braden Ort finishes 9th. JC Camacho, just goes to show you how deep our Superstock field is. JC Camacho yesterday was on the podium. Today he's 10th with all the same guys finishing. Daytona Anderson, Brandon Posh had a problem. Brandon Cleveland, Andrew Lee, great run from him, 18 years old, and Jody Berry, 15th. Nice to see Jody rebound after an incident yesterday.
So great race action here and an amazing margin of victory yet again. Let's take a look at the standings, because now it's all snug up top as Garrett Gerloff leads with 106, but JD Beach only 4 points adrift. And Benny Solis has now moved himself into 3rd overall in the championship, with Valentin DeBees scoring 0 on the weekend. And in a couple days, we're going to get back on the bikes as we are at Pittsburgh International Raceway for a test where all these top teams are going. Nick McFadden in the mix, Posh, Gilbert, and so on. So really nice looking rider championship at this point as we head to our next round in a couple of weeks at MotoAmerica. You'll want to join us for that for sure. We'll take a break here on BN Sports. Don't go anywhere. We'll have more from BIR. Welcome back to Virginia International Raceway as the Supersport Superstock 600 race has wrapped up with JD Beach, Garrett Gerloff, and Benny Solis standing on the Supersport podium. But the person who stood atop, or will stand atop the Superstock 600 podium, now takes over the championship points lead, and he rides for the Team MG55. It's Michael Gilbert with Terry.
Michael, congratulations on your first double. Of course, 4 podiums, first double. How are you feeling?
I'm tired. That was a really long and hot race. You know, we kind of had the same situation as yesterday. We didn't get the start we really wanted to. Had to work by those guys and just put our heads down. I threw down some really fast times, and I kept seeing +0. Just kept digging all the way to the end, and just managed that gap once we built it and brought it home. I really can't thank all my sponsors, my team, MG55, Teague, my dad. Shout out to my mom. Happy Mother's Day, Mom. I can't wait to come home and see you. The rest of my sponsors, let's do it again.
Congratulations.
All right, so congratulations to Michael Gilbert, who is not a full-time racer. Jason, he actually has a job, doesn't he?
Yep, he writes for one of the magazines, and so he's a test writer for those guys also. And this kid works really, really hard on his craft, though, and I'm lucky enough to know Michael pretty well. He trains hard, he works hard, but he balances his life to be able to come and do this on the weekends. He's got Teague down there helping him get the stuff together, and his father's a huge part of that program. And for them to do a double here, they had a pretty good weekend in Atlanta, and I think this weekend here, though, when you come and do the double, it's great.
Let's take a look at some race highlights as we take a look at the fans enjoying the great weather here on Mother's Day. where we thought all things might change, but then JD just kept working at it and working at it. And Garrett Gerloff had his opportunity, but he kept leaving the door open in turn number 4, and that turned into the checkered flag for JD Beach. I think the phrase of the weekend so far is, you can't leave a double apex left-hander open for a dirt track.
Dirt tracker especially, but
Garrett still enjoyed his time.
Look at Garrett, man. He's so cool that he goes up there to the fans. Might be friends of his, I'm not sure, but you know what? He did an outstanding job, and we got a good look at the podium here. JD, Benny, and Garrett. Getting to spray the champagne again. Same 3 as we had yesterday, a little different order between first and second, but Garrett's asking where his champagne bottle is.
And you know what? For Garrett Gerloff, he understands what's at stake. It's a good time when he collects 20 points.
Better for Benny to fall there than on the track, I guess, huh?
As long as he didn't hurt himself.
Yeah, exactly.
That's all that really matters. Even though we have a couple of weeks to go before the next round, we're off in a couple days to Pittsburgh. But there's so much more coming at you here on Be In Sports. Don't go anywhere.